It's a done deal, still about 5 or 6 lengths off the lead, but he hasn't moved on him yet. Kingdom's led up the rise, but he's erratic. It's a done deal, chiming in, and the pocket rocket from New Zealand claimed them in a stride. And It's a Done Deal race to the front of the 200 metre mark. This is an exercise gallop. He's moving away for one of the most impressive wins you'll ever see in the Derby. It's a Done Deal, and a hand canter wins it by 5 lengths.
Quite often in horse racing, it's the jockey and the trainer who get a lot of the credit. But the people who take the financial risks are the owners. Here with me today are 2 of the owners of Its A Dundeel, the 2 Tonys, Tony Craig and Tony Joyce. Tony Craig, first of all, congratulations on a fantastic win on Saturday.
Thanks, Liz. It was amazing to be there. Quite surreal, really, particularly with the whole new setup at Randwick and amongst the massive crowd that was there, and the way he won was just unbelievable. I don't think you can ever be that confident, and for many of us we were quite anxious, particularly this was the big one. This was the last leg of the Triple Crown, and I know, me personally, I was just a ball of nerves.
Many judges are already rating Its A Dundeel as a champion. How do you feel about that?
It's nice to get that accolade. I think that one of the things that people have missed big time is the fact that he's the only horse in history that's won the 4 3-year-old Group 1 races in Sydney, and so when they start realising that, I think they might lift the accolades even further.
Now, thinking back to the early days of Its A Dundeel, I understand that you're the syndicate manager. How did the acquisition of the horse first come about?
Well, Murray Anderson, the breeder, rang me about 2 years ago. Now, Murray is my brother's wife's brother. I know that sounds complicated, but that's how a sort of semi-family connection came about. And he asked me whether I had any friends that would be interested in syndicating the horse. So I rang around and started pestering people. In fact, one good story is that one of the current owners used to look at his phone and see my name come up because I pestered him so much, and he wouldn't answer it, but he's so happy now that I kept pestering him. So that's how it took off. We've got 9 couples that are involved in the horse, varying degrees of ownership, and we're having a tremendous lot of fun. It's outstanding.
So when Its A Dundeel races, do you all like to get together and watch him as a group?
Yeah, it's one of the prerequisites that when he races, we're all got to be there together, whoever's there on course. We watch the race. Obviously, there's times when people have got invitations to other things on course at the day, but generally the rule of thumb is when the horse is racing, we're all together, and as you'll see, madly screaming and jumping up and down in the grandstand. We're sort of getting quite a reputation for it.
Now, at the moment, obviously, he's a 3-year-old. He's won 8 of 11 of his races. Just how good do you think he's going to be as a 4-year-old?
Well, Murray Anderson, the breeder's always said right from day one that this family matures with age, and I think if he keeps maturing the way he is, we've seen what's happened since the spring to the autumn. I think it's scary what this horse's potential is, and so we're looking forward to it.
Now, Tony Joyce, I understand that you've owned racehorses before, but perhaps none quite this good.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I've been involved in horses for many years. But never ever have I had a horse quite like It's A Dundeel. It's unbelievable.
Could you perhaps describe from an owner's perspective how it feels before and during a race like the Australian Derby when you've got a horse lining up?
Yeah, it's like Tony said. We expected him to win. We thought that only bad luck would beat it. But there's no such thing as certainties in racing. And when we took Procera on in the spring stakes at Sydney, he was a $1.20 favourite, and it was only after we won that race, I think, that the Aussies really started to wake up to how good he is. So there's a few punters in the syndicate, and we've had some good money off him. But it's a fabulous horse, and the journey we're on is just amazing.
Now, obviously, you've taken him to Melbourne twice, and he was beaten on both of those occasions. Are there any plans to take him back there, perhaps a score to settle?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, he's done everything he can do in Sydney. He went to Melbourne, and he had a few races. He was racing at the back of the field. Once Murray put the blinkers on earlier in the season, he's been a different horse, and we really believe that that's made a massive difference, and he'll be a different horse in Melbourne. He'll be a different horse in the Cox Plate when he hits there in October.
So the Cox Plate is on the agenda then?
100%, yeah, 100%. Get on there.
Now, Tony Craig, do you find that there's any pressure on you as an owner of a horse like him?
That's a very interesting question. Pressure on yourselves, probably more than anything. The expectation of all the people that are out there backing and supporting him. We've had an amazing amount of support from New Zealand. It's just been outstanding. And, you're just flying the Kiwi flag wherever you can. So there is that level of pressure. But we've got a wonderful team. I mean, you've got Murray Baker and his team with Andrew Forsman in Cambridge, Murray's son Bjorn in Sydney. You've got Emily Murphy, Murray's employee, who's just an outstanding caregiver for that horse. Yeah. And you put them together with James on top, and like all things, you start with great clay, you get a great pot, and this horse was great clay that we started with.
What would you say to someone who's perhaps thinking about joining a syndicate or getting involved in racehorse ownership?
Get on board, honestly. I know this is probably once in a lifetime for most people, but you can't get this chance unless you get on board. And my view is give it a go. It doesn't need to cost you a lot. Take small percentages, whatever you can, but there is no greater thrill in life as if you get something as good as this fella and he ends up winning the races he has. It's amazing.
It's a Dundeel on the outside, is starting to wind up. It's Poissy in front. It's a Dundeel on the outside. Lunges and wins it. It's a Dundeel beat Poissy. It's a Dundeel raced up and hit the lead. He's shot away now from Poissy, who's trying to stick with him. It's a Dundeel and Poissy. It's a Dundeel. It's a Dundeel beat Poissy again. But what an electrifying turn of foot he had at the top of the straight, and he'll cruise down and win the Rosehill Guineas. It's a Dundeel by 5 lengths Sacred Falls. It's a Dundeel race to the front of the 200 metre mark. This is an exercise gallop. He's moving away for one of the most impressive wins you'll ever see in the Derby. It's a Dundeel and a hand canter wins it by 5 lengths.